On the last episode of the podcast, I talked about why I thought Howard Dean was unqualified to be the next DNC chair. Now, after I filmed this episode, before it even went up on YouTube, Howard Dean inexplicably dropped out of the race. Now, he went on MSNBC to explain why that's the case.
Why pull yourself out of the running for this position?
Because I really feel strongly that our party needs to turn itself over to the next generation, and I'm very happy to stay in the background and help coach to whoever the chair is. I just think that one of the problems that we had in this election was we got to connect more with young people. And that means not having faces like mine. Look, I did this job. We did a great job. We really did. We came in 2009. We didn't have, 2005. We didn't have the House, the Senate, or the presidency. And when we left in 2009, we had all three. But I really do think this needs to go to a younger person and move ourselves on to the next generation.
But so what changed your mind, Governor? Because even within the last, 48 hours, you were making a case that you were the guy to lead the party and to put in place a 50-state strategy and better organization. What changed in the last, day or two?
Actually, if you listen carefully to my discussions on MSNBC, I didn't change very much. I've been saying that I thought we ought to turn the party over to a younger person for a long time, and also that I do not believe we can have a chair that has two jobs. You cannot have a sitting politician in this job. So
but
that's
something
just
changed, right? Because even though you may have been being careful in your words and what you wanted, you were running, and now you're not. So I guess I'm wondering, was there some kind of a deal? What in your view, changed?
No, I made this decision 2 or 3 weeks ago. Once I was in, I know I got a quick lay of the land. I think that I would have and could have won just because of what we were able to accomplish the last time I was chair. But it also came very clear, as this is what I said in the video to the DNC, some of which is meeting in Denver. It became clear to me that, one, if we weren't really careful, this would be a Hillary versus Bernie proxy fight. I was for Hillary. Keith Ellison, who's one of the people who's running, was for Bernie. I didn't want that fight. Two, if you really believe that you need to have young people attracted to the party, it's better to have a young person running.
I was actually really surprised by that, and I do have a lot more respect for him because of his reasoning. He states, quote, "Our party needs to turn itself over to the next generation. We've got to connect more with young people." That couldn't be more true, because if the Democratic Party establishment has illustrated anything, it's that they don't care about the concerns of millennials. We want climate change to be a central focus of the Democratic Party. We want big money in politics to be targeted by the party. We don't want you to get in bed with lobbyists and Wall Street and special interests. We want you to look out for us. And so I think that him acknowledging the fact that him, as well as other people within the Democratic Party establishment, are just out of touch, I think that is something that will help him garner more respect and credibility among progressives and younger people. He also states, if we weren't really careful with this, it would be a Hillary Clinton versus Bernie Sanders proxy fight, and I didn't want that fight. And let me tell you this, the minute he decided to join this race to become the next DNC chair, it turned into a Hillary Clinton versus Bernie Sanders proxy fight, because this is something that is going to be an ongoing theme. There will be a continued war between the Bernie Sanders wing of the Democratic Party and the Hillary Clinton wing of the Democratic Party, because you have the Democratic Party establishment still wanting to do things their own way. You have people like Nancy Pelosi saying, well, I don't think that the Democratic Party needs to go in a new direction. We're the party of the working class. Well, Nancy, what we're saying is that you're not the party of the working class any longer, and we want you to change so that way you become the party of the working class again. So you have this party establishment that's just completely out of touch with the average voter, and you have the progressive wing saying, look, if you don't do things our way, because your way clearly hasn't been working, then you're going to continue to lose and lose and lose and lose again. Under Debbie Wasserman Schultz's leadership, the Democrats have lost thousands of seats in state legislatures across the country. They lost the Senate, they lost the House, and now they lost the presidency. And if they don't change after this, if they don't see this as a wake-up call, if they don't take the defeat of Hillary Clinton to an orange clown like Donald Trump as a sign that they've got to do something differently and start taking progressives seriously, then they're in for trouble. And this is, unfortunately, it's not something that they're only going to have to pay the consequences of. See, Democrats, when they lose, they lose a couple of seats, but they're rich, they can go on with their lives. But we have to deal with the policies that Trump and his administration and the Republicans want to implement. Republicans are already looking at a plan to privatize Social Security. It's going to be a disaster, and we're going to have to fight like hell. And we wouldn't have to be waging this battle against Republicans if you guys just did your job and actually mobilize the base and cater to the working class. But instead, you guys wanted to cozy up with limousine liberals and liberal party elites and do what they wanted, as opposed to where the heart and core of the base wanted, which is anyone who supported Bernie Sanders. So I absolutely respect that Howard Dean is able to really have a little bit of introspection, which is what many people in the Democratic Party establishment fail to have, and realize, look, I'm not the right person at this time for the Democratic Party. Yes, they were successful under my tenure as DNC chair at a different time, but now we really need different leadership. We need to cater to the needs of the future of the Democratic Party, which is millennial voters. And if you don't win them over, you're going to lose the race every single time. So I respect that. I really do. I think that Howard Dean went up a few points in my mind. Now, when it comes to why he quit, part of it is because I think that Howard Dean has shown to have relatively thin skin, right? Because Jimmy Dore did a segment where he tweeted something to Howard Dean, calling him a lobbyist, and Howard Dean blocked Jimmy Dore immediately on Twitter. So this is someone who doesn't like to be criticized, and you had progressives all just kind of dogpile on Howard Dean the second he announced that he was going to be running to be the DNC chair. And that's because we don't want another shill for Wall Street to be the face of the Democratic Party. We need a new direction, and clearly Keith Ellison is the only person who could facilitate the change that we need to take the party back from special interests. So I'm glad that Howard Dean was able to reflect in a way and do what's best for the party and the country and drop out. So Howard Dean, credit where credit is due. Thank you for dropping out. Thank you for actually seeing what other Democratic partisan hacks aren't able to see. And just for old time's sake, I'll leave you with this.